In this tutorial, we're going to take you around the Pro Tools software interface, show you some things about the menu structure, and get you started in understanding what you're looking at when you're looking at a Pro Tools edit window and mix window. When you first launch a Pro Tools session, or if you're looking at a Pro Tools session like we are here in this example, you'll notice that Pro Tools is at the top left-hand corner of the screen, and the menu structure is strung along the top, and that'll be on a Mac or a PC. So let's talk about the menu structure here a little bit so you're understanding what is in every single menu. The first one after the Pro Tools menu is the File menu. And in the File menu, we can open, create, and save sessions. The Edit menu is where you can copy, paste, duplicate, or trim your selections. You'll also find the Automation submenu under the Edit menu. The View menu is displaying, hiding parts of Pro Tools windows or other parts of the session. For example, if I wanted to see the clip names and put them into View, I could just come down to Clip and click on Name, and then all of the clip names will show up in each individual clip. The Track menu is for creating, duplicating, deleting, and modifying tracks. It also is the place to go for creating your click track. The Clip menu is arranging, grouping, looping, and modifying clips. The Event menu has everything to do with modifying time and tempo, as well as all of your MIDI and audio events. Audio Suite is probably the oldest menu that you've seen in Pro Tools since very early versions, and that is your Audio Suite for accessing all of your Audio Suite plugins. Your Options menu is for toggling edit, record, playback options on and off, and your Setup menu is for configuring all of the settings in a dialog box. So in here you could set up your hardware, your playback engine, your input-output setup, your MIDI setup is here too, and also your click and count off preferences for your metronome. Down at the bottom is the preferences for the Pro Tools software program, which incidentally is global to the program and not to each individual session. Your Window menu is for displaying and arranging all of your Pro Tools windows, and the Marketplace, which is a recent addition to later versions of Pro Tools, you can access the AVID store and your AVID account, as well as getting upgrades to a current version of software that you may not have. So you no longer have to leave Pro Tools software and get on the internet. It will automatically launch you to that place on the internet. And then, of course, there's always the handy Help menu, which links you to Pro Tools documentation. One of the best features of this is the Pro Tools reference guide, which is a handy searchable reference guide where you can type in anything that you want to do in Pro Tools and find everywhere in the reference guide that it talks about it, as well as all of your Pro Tools shortcuts for Mac and for PC. So that is your Pro Tools menu structure. And looking at the top underneath the menu structure, we're going to see the edit modes up here on the top left. Right next to that we have our zoom features, so if you wanted to zoom in on waveforms or zoom out on waveforms horizontally or vertically, these are where the buttons are on the toolbar to do that. Right below that you'll have 5 preset memory locations that you can set. And to the right of that we have your 6 standard editing tools. The zoomer tool, the trim tool, the selector tool, the grabber tool, the scrub tool, and the pencil tool. To the right of that is your main time scale. So right now, wherever my edit cursor is flashing on the screen, we are at bar 25, beat 3, tick 162. And this time scale is shown in bars and beats and ticks. You can easily change your view to minutes and seconds, time code, feet and frames, and samples, as well as show both 2 different time scales at the same time by selecting subcounter. So if I wanted to select and view bars and beats as well as minutes and seconds, I can do so by selecting the subcounter. To the right of that is your start, end, and length selections. So if we happen to make a selection in the timeline, that would be reflected here, and the length of the overall selection. To the right of that is your grid and your nudge features. You can turn your grid display on and off by clicking on the word grid, and when it's enabled it's all lit up in green. as well as select your values that you wish to display. To the right of that are your transport controls. You have your sync, stop, play, and record, as well as your return to zero, rewind, forward, and go to end. In the edit window right below the toolbar, we have the universe window. The universe window is just a short snapshot view of all of the regions that are in your session. So currently we have the entire session into view, but if I was to zoom in on my session and view a lot more of this waveforms and zoom in on each individual clip, you can see that the universe view changes. And there's a white box where you can go in, kind of go exactly where you need to go according to the color of the regions that are lying in the session. Right below the universe window are your time scales. You have your bars and beach, which will always be on top and reflect whatever your main time scale is up in the toolbar. You can also change to view any one of the minutes and seconds, time code, features, feet and frames, or samples in the timeline. You have your conductor-based rulers down below that, which are your tempo meter and markers. And then right below that you have your track listing in the edit window. So the tracks will appear in order as you create them on the session. You also have the ability to view certain columns. So in this column view display, you can click on it, and here's where you can show all of your inserts, sends, input outputs, real-time properties. You can choose all. Okay, and that shows all of them there, and you can see it takes up pretty much good amount of screen real estate, or minimal. So usually what I like to do is if I'm first recording in a session, I like to show my track, name, and my input output. Also on this side of the screen at the very bottom, you're going to see the bar with an arrow pointing to the right. If you click on that, it's going to show your tracks list. So here is where you can show all of the tracks in order. So sometimes when you cannot see all of the tracks in the edit window because the tracks are large in size, you can show them all here and click on select them in the tracks list. Down below that you're going to have the groups, and you can change the size of these displays any way that you want. And each of them also have their own pop-up menus. So you can show all the tracks or filter your selection depending on what you want to see in your session. On the right-hand side of the edit window, again down at the very bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see a bar with an arrow pointing to the left. When you click on that, it's going to display your clips list. And this is where it's going to show all of your audio clips, your video clips, your MIDI clips, everything that you have inside the session. So when everything is in your clips list, you can see it here. You can scroll up and down to view all of your clips. And there is a pop-up menu where you can do a find feature or show certain clips or select or sort by your clips in any way that you want. So that is your edit window and how that looks. The next main window in Pro Tools is your mix window. You can get to the mix window by coming over to the window menu and choosing mix. And incidentally in Pro Tools, whenever you bring up a menu, usually you can find the quick key function to the very right on that menu screen. So you can see here that it's command equals. So if I choose that under the mix window, or the window menu, excuse me, you're going to find that you bring up the mix window, and this shows you the console style view of the Pro Tools software. Now, you're not going to find any types of clicking menus in this particular view, although the one menu that you will find to click on is at the very bottom of the screen, and it's the mix window view selector. So this emulates the column view selector in the edit window in that you can show all of the same things that the column view display shows you in edit, but it shows you in a console style view. So I'm going to click on all just to show you what I mean. And up at the very top you're going to see a couple blank blocks. And the first one is for your mic preamps. So if you have any AVID pre's that are hooked up to your system and you're working with those in your mix, those AVID Pre's will show up at the top here. Right below that is your instrument selection or column for the track. Currently we don't have any virtual instruments on here, so currently they're all blank. Then right below that you're going to find your inserts, and there's A through E, F through J. 10 inserts total in Pro Tools per track, all processed in order A through E first, and then F through J. Same thing with the sends as far as 10 of them goes, so A through E, F through J. Right below that is your input-output, and so you're going to see your input on the top, your output on the bottom. Down below that you're going to see your pan knobs, and then you have down here your solo mute buttons, your track fader, and then down at the bottom you're going to have your track nameplate, delay compensation view, and then right below that is your comments. So your comments, whether it be in mix or edit, is where you can go in and say what microphone was used or what mic preamp settings were used by just clicking on that and putting them in there. Alright, also in your mix window you do have a bar over here on the left hand bottom side of the window. When you click on it and open it up, you're going to also have that tracks list view for your mix window and also your mix groups. Alright, I'm going to go back to the edit window, and I did Command equals there to get back to the edit window. I'm going to hide some of these track and clips list here on the side and change my groups. And what I want to do is go in and show you the last main window in Pro Tools, which is the transport window. And then if anything is called a window in Pro Tools, you can go to the window menu and find and click on it there. The quick key command for the transport window is Command 1 on the numeric keypad. So I'm just going to click on that, and here is our transport. Incidentally, this transport window emulates the one that's in the toolbar that I discussed earlier. However, this one is a floating window, so it could be floating and appear on the mix window as well as the edit window. This one is expandable, so when you click on the pop-up menu to the right top corner, you can show all of the features for the transport. So the transport that you see typically at the toolbar at the top, all of those buttons appear here on the top left. Down here you have your pre-roll and post-roll selections, as well as your start, end, and length, which also appears up here in the toolbar. You do have your main counters, so again the main and sub counters that are from the toolbar are here in the transport. And then you also have your Midi features such as your count off and your click and your tempo features, as well as your wait for note, metronome enable, Midi merge recording, and your conductor for your tempo in tempo mode. Incidentally, all of those things can be shown at the top when you customize your Pro Tools toolbar, and I'll be showing you that in the next video. So those are your three main menus in Pro Tools and getting around all of the Pro Tools menu structure. Next, I'll show you how to customize your toolbar.